and welcome to the Short Stuff. I'm Josh. There's Chuck. Dave's not here. Jerry's here. And I'll tell you who else is here. It's Philip Schlatter, his ghost. He's a 19th century British zoologist, and he's come across the plane of existence to be here with us today.
I think you added an H in there, my friend.
Schlatter?
Yeah.
He always wished his name was Schlatter.
Yeah, we're talking about Philip Schlatter, I guess. That's a weird name. I like Schlatter better, too.
Sure.
Because he took part in something that was going on in the mid-19th century where people were trying to figure out where stuff came from that didn't seem like it belonged there, like in their country. Like, why is this animal here when they were from another continent,
right,
or this plant? That doesn't make a lot of sense. And we've talked about this stuff before in terms of like land bridges and things like that. But he wrote a book in 1864 called The Mammals of Madagascar. No colon, just clean and simple.
Good for you, Schlatter.
Where he wondered, like, Madagascar is off the east coast of Africa, and they have dozens of species of lemurs, but all of Africa and India have only a few species of lemur. And in fact, it was worse than that. They don't have any species of lemur. He was just mistaken and thought some other big-eyed primates were lemurs. Mm-hmm. But he was on the right track as far as saying, like, what happened here? And he said, I know what it was. There used to be a great continent that connected these things, and that's how they got there. And that thing is now underwater, and I'm even going to name it Lemuria.
Yeah, after his lemur friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was the reason that he was coming up with an idea like this, and he wasn't the only one. Apparently, land bridges were very much in vogue at the time, because we didn't understand, like you were saying, how like a plant could be on one continent and also on another, and we hadn't figured out continental drift yet. That didn't really get traction until the 1920s. So this was an attempt to explain that before the theory of continental drift came along or drifted along. And this continent of Lemuria supposedly was on the bottom of the Indian Ocean now, but basically spanned from India all the way to Africa. And Schlatter, yeah. He basically said this is where lemurs originated, and then they spread out from there. Case closed. And we should say, like, it seems off to us now, but this was a legitimate man of science proposing a legitimate hypothesis that may or may not have been able to be tested. I'm not sure. But like, it wasn't meant to be crackpot. It was the crackpots who took it and turned it into a crackpot theory.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of gained traction in other circles, and we're going to talk about a few of those. There was one guy, a German biologist named Ernst Haeckel, and he wrote a book called History of Creation, no colon. They didn't have colons back then.
No,
evidently.
They invented the colon with the continental drift theory.
That's right. He had a theory about evolution that kind of flew in the face of Darwin, where he said, you know what, this Lemuria place that's my comrade Schlatter came up with, I think not only was that a place, but that was where it all started. That's the cradle of mankind and humanity. There were 12 varieties of men, and the first humans evolved from ancient primates and spread from there, and they did so from Lemuria.
Right. I mean, this is problematic through and through, but it's also worth saying that Haeckel himself was a respected man of science, too. Mm-hmm. He was a very accomplished, one of those guys who's like, I'm a biologist. Now I'm a geologist. Now I'm a geographer. What else do you want me to be? He was one of those dudes who really contributed to science. But again, at the time, this was it just seems to be like crackpot theories to us now. But they were still just trying to explain what they were seeing. And it just turned out to be kind of wrong. One of the big problems with it was that he based it on Lemuria, which there was no evidence aside from, it kind of explains why this plant's here, this lemur's on this continent, and these lemurs are on this continent. Right. There was no evidence for it whatsoever. So it's probably faulty to really start basing other hypotheses on this hypothetical sunken continent.
Right, especially when there weren't even really lemurs at all in either India or Africa.
Yep.
Should we take a break?
Yep.
All right, we'll be right back.
You mentioned Darwin. I can't remember what you said about Haeckel, but I just imagined Haeckel like b-boy dancing up to Darwin and like running his hand, like waving his hand in between their faces. You know how they do that?
Yeah.
And then dancing off. I can't remember what you said, but it triggered that image and it cracked me up. So thanks for that, Chuck.
Yeah, kind of that it just flew in the face of what Darwin thought. And apparently Darwin was not a fan of this, any of these theories about continents just sinking.
No, he would shoot his TV when it was mentioned on the news.
He wrote a letter to a guy named Charles Lyell, who's a geologist who also thought that continents sank. He said, this is such a nerd burn. If there be a lower region for the punishment of geologists, I believe, my great master, you will go there.
Mm-hmm. And Charles Lyell, we're saying, respected man of science, too.
That's right. You know who was not?
I do. Tell everybody.
A woman named Helena Blavatsky, who was a 19th century Russian occultist, and she founded something called the Theosophical Society that believed that religion or science hadn't fully captured the full truth of the origins of Earth, which I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that. But she thought through psychic gifts that people like herself could access that lost wisdom, and that's where she lost me.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually few people that fully embody everything I scorn like Helena Blavatsky does.
Yeah.
She wrote a book called The Secret Doctrine, came out in 1888. And by this time, Lemuria it's no longer, it's out of the realm of science. It's now into the New Age movement, the Theosophists. It was the movement that Blavatsky, Madame Blavatsky helped found. And I think it was also the basis of spiritualism, too. We did a whole episode on spiritualism. She played a big role in that. But that whole trend of like going to seances and stuff in the Victorian age, she helped kick that off. And in this book, The Secret Doctrine, she was saying, hey, I've read Ernst Haeckel before, so I kind of understand his idea that Lemuria was the cradle of civilization. He said that there's 12 varieties of men. I'm going to say instead that there's 7. I'm going to call them root races, and Lemuria in particular was home to the third root race. And people said, well, what's the third root race? And she said, read on, dear reader. And in the next passage, she said that they're gigantic humans who were hermaphroditic and laid eggs, but because we're evolved from them, they eventually grew distinct sexual organs.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do we even need to comment on that besides it's hysterical?
Yeah, I don't even find it hysterical. Like, it just it drives
you're past
me
that
nuts,
even.
man. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. But this is the 19th century, so, you know.
Yeah, but have you been on YouTube lately? This is so, like, of the moment still, too.
Yeah, I mean, Lemuria, if you look it up online, there's a lot of New Agey sites that are talking about Lemuria, and, you know, you can buy Lemurian crystals and things like that. For the low price of $25, that kind of thing. I think what is interesting is this final sort of twist to the story. Back in India, when it was a colony of the Brits, there were some ethnologists from Britain who were, at the time, they were really fascinated. Like, where did the original Indians come from here? They're so diverse racially and ethnically. Like, what was the original ancestry? And they really honed in on the Dravidian-speaking people in southern India. One of the languages, Dravidians was a language family, and one of those people that spoke one of those languages were the Tamil people, Tamil. And one theory was, those people were the first people, and they were from Lemuria.
Yes. So the Tamil people really love that. They actually had a legend already of I think it's a Hindu legend about Kumari Kandam. And it's a lost civilization or under the sea, under the Indian Ocean. So they're like, that really kind of jibes. Hey, everybody, we're from Lemuria. That makes us the oldest civilization, which makes us the most civilized civilization. Eat that.
Yeah, and thus have the oldest language. Eat that as well. And apparently today even, if you are, I don't want to say Tamilian, but I guess just Tamil, there's still apparently this sort of fascination with this sort of lost world that their original people came from, and they like populated planet Earth.
Yeah. So, yeah, I find that more charming than New Agey stuff. Even though
Blavatsky.
Yeah, I know. Wow, how much have we, evolved over time? Remember how we used to just be totally into Fortean stuff and, unexplained stuff, and, our minds were open and we were curious and we wouldn't poo-poo stuff, and now we're just like...
Yeah, Madame Blavatsky?
Mm-hmm.
Lemuria?
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused now.
Lamatsky. Schlemiel Schlemazel. Say
short stuff out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.